the road now, the main evacuation route out of Kyiv towards the Polish border, and all of the traffic on both sides of the highway is basically moving in the same direction because there are hundreds of thousands of people for another day who are taking themselves out of Kyiv, the capital, and trying to take themselves to somewhere safe. This is a main evacuation plan route that officials would have known about in advance. When that state of emergency kicked in, they would have brought in measures, for example, to fill up fuel stations. That's what we've stopped and are standing at now. People are making their way away from fighting that we had witnessed ourselves. We'd heard a couple of rounds of gunfire earlier in the morning. A couple of kilometres north of us, Russian troops had started to breach Kyiv. There is now, we're in the early stages of a potentially very vicious and bloody gun battle. But this is also a fight that is happening across Ukraine. And so what we've seen along the highway here is the constant redeployment of troops back and forwards, up and down the highway, depending on how things change and develop, because this is a very fluid situation. But in terms of civilians, as you'll see, most of them streaming in this direction. We filed a report on some of them as they tried to get out.
As the skies were lit up by explosions around Kyiv for a second night, those who'd stayed ran again for the cover of the capital's bomb shelters. Hundreds of thousands had already fled after the first night of bombardment, or at least they tried, queuing for supplies before they left. So we're just driving on the highway to get out of the west side of Kyiv, and you'll see here a long line of vehicles all the way up to a petrol station. Nobody living in this capital really expected that this was going to be a target, and it has taken people clearly by surprise. The day of surprise would grow all the more so. Out of nowhere, perhaps 20 kilometres up the road, Russian attack helicopters flew in to try and take a Ukrainian military base. The streams of civilian vehicles were blocked as Ukrainian tanks were redeployed to repel them.
Well, we're on the outskirts of Kyiv now, a place that hardly anybody in... Oh, sorry. Keep the camera down. No problem.
We were told in no uncertain terms not to film their movements. Many did still make it out, though, all the way to the Polish border, as Europe prepares for a new wave of Ukrainian refugees. Amid signs this half-deserted city may soon be encircled, Ukraine's president, his exact whereabouts unknown, said he feared he'd be assassinated and issued another plea for help.
Just like yesterday, the most powerful forces in the world watch from afar. Have yesterday's sanctions persuaded Russia? We see in our skies and feel on the ground that they are not enough.
Other cities across the country continue to be struck too, from Kyiv to Mariupol and Lviv. US officials say the aim is regime change. The collateral, so far, is hundreds of lives.